Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This is the Bunny Hug Farmers Podcast. My name's Tyler Janin. I'm here with my co-host, Dallas Leduc.
See,
I want to give everybody...
not the only one that gets names wrong once in a while. I'm not the only one that gets names wrong once in a while.
No, definitely not. If anybody's wondering, Dallas got my name wrong in one of his very previous TikTok videos when we first started working together. But I want to apologize to all our loyal listeners. We've had a bit of a lapse in our episodes. We had one all put together. Well, not put together. We recorded it, and then due to some technical errors, it didn't work out, and it was unusable. So, Dallas and I, we just finished up seeing. We're going here. We're recording this one in hopes this one actually works. We got some more guests lined up in the future, but we're very excited to be back. We're both done seeding. So, Dallas, what have you been up to lately?
Well, we just finished seeding. The guys got the last little bit of rolling to do yet. We're just actually rolling some durum just in case in the past, we've had lodge crops, hailed crops, and droughted crops. So if you can roll that stuff, it just makes combining it so much easier. But back to that lost podcast. I got to thank Travis Hildebrandt and Cale Marks. We're our guests on that one. We actually had, four of us were all in that conversation together, and it was a lot of fun. When I told them that we lost it, and they're like, "Oh, how can we re-record it?" And I said, "Well, we can't. It was just all off the top of our heads, but." We'll get them guys back and we'll do a where are they now and how are their springs and summers going, and we'll go from there. So, but yeah, we've just been rolling as usual. I finished doing burn off and rinse the sprayer and start in crop about 4 minutes later. And we just, like everybody else in the province, it's just non-stop wind, and you just can't spray when she gets over, in my mind, it gets over 40k winds. It's just, I don't know where it goes, but probably not where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, we just started doing our in crop today too. When we're recording this, it's June 3rd. So we just started spraying our barley today, and typically what happens in Saskatchewan, you get screwed out by wind when you're spraying. So about 11 o'clock today, we had to shut the sprayer down, but which goes on most farms after seeding, there's a lot of maintenance and getting things ready. I actually just even put one of the combines in the shop today. So when we get a rainy day, the feeder house is coming off that combine. That combine's due for a total rebuild.
And that's in the new shop?
That's in the new shop. Combines don't fit in the old shop, unfortunately. The old L-tube gleaners used to fit in with room to spare, but these modern day class 8 combines, you can't even fit the pickup header in the door. So this new shop's going to be much appreciated when we get here in the next few days. We've had a lot of hot weather up my way lately, and I was in that new shop today, and it is a nice 18 degrees in there, so perfect temperature to work in a pair of coveralls.
Well, yeah, we often find when we're working in the shop in the summertime, if it does get a little on the warmer days, our shop is pretty well insulated too. So I'll open the doors up at night if the shop gets too hot and get up about 5 o'clock in the morning. When the temperatures are still in the teens, the shop is cooled down nicely. You shut the door. She's like air conditioning in there all day long. And then you don't want to move nothing in and out. It's like, well, that doesn't come in until, tonight. And we cool it down overnight, and then you can keep them doors closed when it's hot. The shop is a wonderful place to work in the summertime.
Yeah, we'll probably do much the same thing in our shop. One thing we did just for dealing with moisture and stuff like that is we put barn fans inlets, or like used in a poultry barn, that are on a rheostat. And they will automatically kick in if the moisture level gets too high in there. I haven't seen them kick on yet, but then again, we haven't really been doing much work in there because we kind of just got the shop done with the electricians, and then it was time to go seeding. So what I plan on doing is, if it does get hot in there during the day, when we quit for the day, I'm going to walk over the wall, manually engage the fans, and let them run all night. And then it'll just circulate that air. Then that way I don't got doors open and some unwanted guests coming in the building in the night when I'm lateral.
Oh, yeah. But don't get ahead of the game here with them combines. Let's go back to seeding here. How did the old seeding season go for you?
We had a lot of luck. We got all of our cereals in, and then we got probably about half the canola, and then we got an ungodly amount of rain. It shut us down for probably close to 9 days. We got over 6 inches of rain in the middle of May.
Well, that's only 4.7 more inches than we got.
I would have gladly given you half if I could.
Yeah,
but
we could have.
I'm glad we got that much now, because it's been about 2 weeks since we got that, and we've had a lot of heat and a lot of wind, so things are starting to get dry. And I shouldn't really be crying about being dry, because just north of both you and I, we're having a hell of a time with forest fires here in northern Saskatchewan. I pour my heart out to all the people that are dealing with that right now. I couldn't even fathom what that'd be like to have to evacuate my home and leave not knowing if it's going to be there when I come back. So I pour my heart out to you folk living in the northern communities, unfortunately having to be evacuated.
And I got to tip my hat and raise my glass to all the firefighters, the volunteer firefighters that we have, or the paid ones too, up there fighting the fires. A group of Americans come up and up there, guys from Quebec are up there. It's just, them professional firefighters like that are willing to come out of their own countries or provinces to go to the other ones and lend a hand. I really got to thank those guys for going the extra mile. I know we've had lots of fun with the Americans and stuff over, lately, and some tariffs and all that goofiness. But man, the American people are good people, and I really appreciate the help that they're giving up north. I think it's 120 American firefighters come out of some state. I can't say now what I remember what it was, but I think those are great. They're up there. Guys are from Quebec are up there lending a hand and giving everything they got. So I wouldn't want to be kicked out of my house or my area, and I really got to thank them firefighters for, I know how hard that. I don't know how hard that is. I could dream about how hard that is, but I think it's way harder than I think, being a firefighter at that level. So round of applause for those guys, please.
Yeah. If you see them, everybody thank them, because not only are they in immense danger, but they're also away from their loved ones, just there helping other people. So it is a great thing to see people stepping in or stepping up to help. So again, thank you to all our paid firefighters and our volunteer firefighters and all of our first responders as well.
Oh yeah, because that's, and even now people are, they're in the hospitality, they're in motels, they're in cities they don't want to be in, they're not where they want to be, and they just have to make the best of it. And it's a terrible card, and I know we'll get through it, but yeah, that's pretty awful. And that's hot, dry winds, and then everybody's battling smoke. I'm nasally, sound like a power saw here. I apologize for my voice. It's just all this smoke, I think. And after seeding, we just finished seeding. Tyler and I actually both finished seeding the same day. So I finished seeding. He finished seeding. You get done that grind, you're mentally, physically exhausted. You've pushed yourself to the limit all them days in a row. And I know the hired men have been sick, and I know I'm probably going to get sick too. So I apologize for sounding like a power saw.
So back to people being evacuated, we actually have some people in Moosomin that had to be transferred from the hospitals up north, staying in the hospital in Moosomin. They brought them in via medevac because Moosomin just recently had a new airport opened, or not new, but we recently got a paved airport put in here. In just the last year, it is the third largest airport or paved runway in Saskatchewan.
That's pretty impressive. Moosomin is just a growing little. It's a city, right? Or is that still a
No, it's just a town. Yeah, Moosomin's a decent sized town. We only got about 2,800 people, but we got a lot going on. We got a lot of little towns around us. Like we got the potash mine at Rokenville. There's a potash mine at Esterhazy. We got the oil south of me. There's oil to the east in Verdon. There's lots going on, and it is a very strong farming community. Like it's all arable ground, and what isn't arable is all has cattle running on it. So we're a very economically strong community. So, and I guess it's aggressive. A lot of the businesses in town are aggressive. Like a lot of people that own a business in town, they own more than one business. So a lot of those businesses, they are responsible for that airport with donations and whatnot. We did have some grants from the government, the provincial and federal, but a lot of it was just from donations from local businesses that made it possible. And it's already saved a lot of lives because we're just out of reach for what STARS can do to take a child to the Children's Hospital in Saskatoon. They don't have a problem going to Regina, but Saskatoon's just a little bit out of STARS reach.
See, Mac, the way these podcasts work, you just kind of general notes and we aim to where we want to. We set up in our volunteer fire department in our RM years ago. We actually have a STARS refueling trailer because we're on the outs. They're older helicopters, 5-6-year-old ones that they used to have. We're on the outside edge of them landing, especially at nighttime. I think daytime they can do it, but nighttime there's some rules on fuel. So they can land, we'll fuel them back up, and then send them back. So we actually have all the stuff for landing STARS. But their newer helicopters have better range. But with talking with them, they still want us to keep the fuel trailer up certified and keep high quality fuel and stuff in there. Because if they ever have to do a search and rescue, that's when they're going to want our fuel trailer. So we're also on the edge of STARS too. So
Yeah.
I know lots of guys that have had, right from quad accidents to horse accidents to car accidents, and they've had to be starved out of here. And I know it's saved lives and definitely some aggravation. They land here and 35 minutes later, they're landing back in Regina versus 2.5 hour, incredibly rough, painful ride in an ambulance, versus a fast, high flying helicopter that's equipped with nurses and doctors and pilots. And I've toured through that a few times, and the Stars guys are worth every penny. That's why I think there's a Stars Egg in Motion's having a or something at the same time as Egg in Motion's meeting with the Stars or something like that. Maybe we'll have to get tickets to that, or maybe we'll get a couple of the wonderful manufacturers Tyler and I work with to give us some free tickets.
Stars, they're completely funded by donations, are they not?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
It is a great service. It's saved many lives in my community as well. But kind of shifting gears, Dallas, seating wise, did you have any major failures or screw ups? There's another word I want to use, but we try to steer away from that type of language here on the Bunny Hug Farmers podcast.
kind of rhymes with fire truck in a way, something like that. Yep. No, we didn't. In the past we've had some pretty major f ups like that. We've lost wheels on the air cart in the past, but this year, no, we got fairly lucky. When you were getting all that rain, and we were on the eastern part of our farm trying to seed, we were almost down for the same time you were, because we just kept getting little waves of like mist and humidity, and it just kept turning our fertilizer into goo. And we tried to go and make a mess and clean things up, and we'd seed 20 acres a day and get no measurable moisture. But the fertilizer over there, it'd just be a wall of mist would show up and just gum everything up, but actually not put any moisture in the ground. And then we'd have to clean things up and try to go, and we lost the same days you did without any moisture. So
Just
that
enough
was
to aggravate a guy.
yeah, that was our major F up. But we started off, and we thought we had good moisture to start off with, and we didn't. We were seeding at an inch deep, and our first 2,000 acres is probably got a 70% germination when we seeded it. And then when it did actually rain here a month later, then the other 30% got going. So I guess we kind of have a mess up going on there. We got a lot of acres that are really two-stagey crops that are real. I'm spraying them right now, and it's
You
one
might have to
leaf
break
and
the
flag
swapper out.
leaf. That's
You
why
might
we
have to
still
break
got.
the swapper out.
That's why we still got that. Because we got right from one leaf to flag leaf in the same field. So it's like, oh, this is ugly all day. But like I said, we're short change range. We're at an inch and 3/10 since the snow melted. So as of June 3rd, if we don't get some measurable good moisture within the next 2 weeks, that early crop is going to be pretty tiny. There is no hay cut in this area. Maybe some brand new 1 or 2 year old hay would be a half a bale an acre cut, but there is no hay in this area. This is as bad or maybe even worse than 21 as of June 3rd. 2021. It's pretty ugly out there.
So going back to saying you lost a wheel on an air cart there, do you care to go into that story and explain what happened there? You do have a TikTok about it, and you did just repost it here this.
Yeah. Well, we had kept an eye on that, but we'd had on that drill for 4 years. And I guess we hadn't retorqued the wheels within a year or so, because they hadn't become loose. We had the paint markers on there and it hadn't got loose. And I guess we got complacent and we weren't checking it. And usually we don't load the drills in the yard and go very far. And this time, just logistically wise and stuff, we loaded the drills, moved them about 8 miles, and both drills, you got down there, you got seating for 10 passes, and turning around at the end of the field, and the nuts had gotten loose on the studs, and the wheel fell off and rolled into a draw, and that wrecked the hub and wrecked the rim, and all the wheel nuts were gone. And so that's the big thing, is you got to check them freaking wheels, if not every tank, every day. Once they're torqued, just put a paint marker on them, and then that's what we found. If we move them loaded, we have issues. If we move them empty, we don't have issues. And then so right off the bat, we got checking them on the other drill, on the toe between. And we had to change studs and stuff on that one, because we could not keep them tight anymore. They got loose on that movement probably over there. And once them studs get stretched and the threads get poor, every time they filled, they grabbed that 3/4 inch impact and rattled them all tight again, and rattled them tight and rattled them tight. And so that was kind of an oops, and that was a major F up. So that's a big thing, guys. I mean, that's too late now, and I'm sure some guys are going to go, wish you would have told me a month ago. But I mean, that's just the major thing. When you're out there doing your walk around, just take a look, make sure them wheel nuts are good and tight, because there's a lot of pressure. They're not, in my mind, a lot of that stuff isn't designed well enough. I mean, instead of being a 10 bolt hub, it should be a 20 bolt hub. It should be on a bigger hub, bigger castings, stronger. And it's just, I find that a lot of this stuff is built on the cheaper side for economic reasons. $200 more in a hub would be a hell of a lot cheaper than the expenses that we had.
Well, just with the cost of that machine buying it, another $200. Well, you got 4 hubs on an air cart, for example. What is that? $800?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
that's not gonna make or break a deal on an air cart.
Yeah, you're going to spend 300,000 and $800 when you buy an air cart. I mean, it's just be part of the price. I mean, that's what I find. Some of these things are, they do it on the cheaper side, and they probably shouldn't.
And it's just lucky you weren't going down the road when that came apart.
Well, I think Travis Hildebrandt, he had the same thing. I think he lost his in the field too. He said that brings back nightmares when he watched my video of them, because you got to go out there and, and where it fell, that ground is pretty hard in that spot. And dig underneath the cart. To get a conveyor under the cart, to get the jacks underneath there, and then you jack, and one jack pushes down, and the next jack, and your jack, and it was just it's a royal pain in the ass. And we were down, and we had a good tire shop, Karst Tire and Assiniboia did all the swapping over for us on that wrecked rim to the new rim and all that stuff. And it's just it's a pain in the ass. So if we would have checked that, caught that, and not being so lazy, would have moved the semi up there and loaded in the field, that probably would have saved us an F up.
Well, there's a reason they call them F ups, but they all happen. Mechanically, we didn't really have any major F ups here this year. I had one just out of shit luck, really. I was out heavy harrowing, and I was kind of on an old slough bottom because this was before the rain and it was dry, and I was harrowing it because the drills were coming, and I was turning right at the edge of the water, kept turning, just working my way back and forth. And one time I turned and I sunk out of sight in a matter of about 2 feet. And of course, if anybody knows how that muskeg is, it doesn't hold much up once you break the surface. So Dad came, tried to pull me out, hooked onto me, didn't have a long enough chain. He dug down. He just about got stuck. He had to do the wiggle jiggle to get himself out. Well, we ended up having to go home for the 100-foot special tow cable. Well, it's not a tow cable, it's a lifting cable, so it's designed to handle that type of weight. But as soon as we got up on that good ground, I popped right out. So, and of course I had to be right next to the highway where this happened. So we weren't even there 20 minutes where I was stopped, and the one neighbor was going by, and we're on our way home to get the tow cable. The neighbor phones Dad. Yeah, I got a 4-wheel drive just over here. Let me know if you get any help. Dad's like, I think we got it, but we'll keep it in mind. Thanks. Nothing worse than when that neighbor phones you and just wants to give you that little jab, like, hey, I can come help. I just want to come take a picture and laugh, more or less. But
here's a story going back. Oh, this is back when this country got wet. This is back. Oh, got to be 2021. No, 2011. Way back in the wet years. Neighbors, they only had 3 or 4 quarters left to seed up north here, and they had 2 air drills going. It was the one guy had hired another guy to help him finish off. And it was wet. And they were having issues, and Dad had gotten the sprayer stuck about 4 or 5 miles north. So I took the world's most famous 9280 with the triple tractor up there, pulled Dad out, and on the way up, I noticed they were seeding. On the way back, the one guy was stuck and the other guy was backing up to him and right near the road. So I wheeled in there and wanted to, see if they needed more length or more grip or whatever to help pull them out. And the one guy there, no, we're good. We should be good. And we've done this before. We've been stuck out here. It was just so wet. That was a 20-inch year of rain or whatever. And they were stuck. And that's, cell phones were new and stuff. And I said, no, I just see if you needed a hand. Made my way home, parked the tractor back in the line up there. And I think it was this microwave and a pizza pop or something like that. But they said, before I left, he said, give me your cell number in case we do have to get a tug or a pull. Well, I don't think the microwave hadn't even beeped, hadn't even warmed up my pizza pop yet. And he called and he said, we're both effing stuck. So they couldn't go pull each other out. Had to go back to the world's most famous 9280 and go up there and pull them both out. And it's so much easier with a triple tractor. They had nicer older John Deeres on duals, and the triples are just so much better flotation. And pulled them out and give them a hand. And my thank you was just to know that I went and pulled a couple of John Deere tractors out of the mud. So that's all the thank you I needed. And I've been asked a couple of times, why do you call it the world's most famous 9280? Do you know why I call it that? Because I can. because it's the only 9280 in the history of the world that I know of to pull an 80-foot drill, pulled a 70-foot drill, it's pulled a 112-foot Mandanko roller. It has multiple millions of views on TikTok and some on YouTube with that tractor, TikTok and YouTube and Facebook. So, you know why I call it that? Because it's got a shit ton of views. It's a cool as hell old tractor. And because I want to call it that. Because
nobody else has claimed that title either.
And if you have a 9390, call it the world's most famous 9390. I won't disagree with you. Not unless I can find one with more views. And if you can find a 9280 with more views on social media than my tractor, I will bow down and pass the crown over to him. But until then, I have the world's most famous 9280.
Don't take that title away from Dallas. He likes to brag about that one too much. When we record these, we have a camera on, and you should just see the little twinkle he gets in his eye when we're talking about that tractor.
It's been a good tractor. We've had that thing since, I think we got it in 99 or 2000. We've had it for a long time, and it's been a real decent tractor. But as time comes, pulling that 112-foot Land Roller is a job. We went back to the 88-foot here at the end, and that's where it's happier, is on that smaller Land Roller. 50-foot drill, it loves a 50-foot drill. It struggles with an 80. It's all them things. That thing's got to be. We changed the tack at 7,000 hours and put a new one in. I'm thinking we got 15 or 1,600 on the new tack, so it's got to be staring down. Call it 9,000 hours. So by no means a new tractor anymore, but that's nothing compared to your tractors, Tyler. I know that. That's not even on the broken in stage.
Yeah, well, our two-wheel drives, we've talked about this one previously on the podcast before, but we got a 2094 with over 40,000 hours and a 2394 that's pushing over 30,000 hours. The motors have only been done on them once, and they didn't need them at that time, but it's just like how your tractors lasted, Dallas. It just comes down to routine maintenance.
Yeah, good oil changes, good oil, keeping them out of the weather. I wish we had more sheds.
That color red sure helps too.
Yeah, ours there, when we were having all the wheel problems with that thing years ago, like that thing's on 20-bolt planetaries. We had to drill them out to handle that, and it's been a couple of winters outside. Well, it basically turned pink, sitting in the sun for a couple of winters. So it's been wax. It gets a usual every 4 or 5 year wax job just to sparkle that paint back up.
That old iron, it doesn't hurt to have that extra bullet sitting in the back of the shed there in the lineup, like you said, when you went to go pull the neighbors out. Sometimes you need that to pull yourself out, so it doesn't hurt to have that extra iron sitting around. And sometimes it's nice to go back and run that old iron and make you really appreciate the newer stuff you have sitting in your lineup.
I don't know. I go run that 9280. That cab is still quieter than the Versatile and the New Holland is. It's just, but we run the 2-track Cat in the grain cart and the 9280 on the roller, and there's no PTO on the 9280, and the Cat's too small for the roller. There'll probably be a time where both of those tractors will have to vamoose, and a newer, more modern 4-wheel drive that can do both jobs will have to show up, I'm thinking, because no matter how much I love that old tractor, it just is a piece of iron.
Yeah, well, say the word, Dallas. I'm good at finding equipment. I will find you a tractor. If anybody's wondering, the sprayer, that Case Patriot sprayer that Nick, the South Sask farmer's running, I'm good friends with Nick. I found him that sprayer.
And I've told Tyler that we're thinking about moving on from the 9280 and the Cat. And at least 3 times a week, he sends me a link to something he found right in my category that I want to replace too. So yeah, he's the old machinery finder of Canada. He's the tractor Zoom of Moosomin, Saskatchewan.
I don't know if I have much knowledge. I'm good at finding them, but I don't quite have the knowledge of him. We need to get him on the podcast here one of these days.
Yeah, I don't know Ryan's last name. I just have him. He's in my phone as Ryan Tractor Zoom. But yeah, he is one of the guests that we're going to have on the podcast. He is one heck of a nice, smart guy there. And I'm looking forward to Mr. Tractor Zoom joining us on a podcast, because he's very entertaining. He's an old farm boy, and he's a wealth of knowledge. So he's on the list of potential guests. Should we rattle off some other future guests we have, or should we just wait them out?
We can name a few and maybe generate some interest and maybe some ideas from some of our listeners. We are starting to get some comments now on the podcast websites. So yeah, go ahead. That's your department, Dallas.
Oh yeah, well, one of them, and it's tough with seating and all that stuff. And then this is going to be our first female guest is going to be Melanie, the female farmer. Her and her husband farm with, I believe, her parents. We haven't talked to her yet. I was going by her TikTok stuff. She's agreed to come on and maybe her and her husband can come on and do an episode. I know she's been really busy on their farm, and then she recently got married and they have a young family they just started. So, as Tyler and I both know, when the children show up, things really change. So, I'm looking forward to talking to her. I mean, they run some beautiful lines of machinery there. They're in some phenomenal dirt. So I'm really looking forward to hearing the stories of that family farm and her journey of becoming a member of that farm. I'm looking forward to that. And then we're gonna do a Where Are They Now with most of the people we have. I've had a lot of requests for Matt James, and we both know the audio on the Matt James. Matt builds. He's from Winnipeg area. Is not good. So we're gonna have Matt back to do an episode with us for sure. We already did
I
one with
think we're gonna get Matt on, and then we'll do another one with Matt and his brother.
Andrew. Yeah, they do that two of them together, or would be awesome. And those guys are young, smart, and that's great. You surround yourself with young, smart guys like that. Makes this old dog feel pretty happy to be with some good young, smart farmers like that. And then we'll get Kale back on because Kale is just beyond entertaining. Travis Hildebrandt is also a wealth of knowledge and a good buddy of mine. And we can ever corner Nick and get him away from, either the working in the shop or playing with the cows or running machinery or chasing 5 kids and a wife around.
He needs to stop chasing the wife around.
Well, I think he's only got 4 kids, or is it 5?
Jeez, I should know this. I talk to him every day. I think he's only got 4.
I've only got 4. I got the whole brand new Duramax full, so I guess they can.
Yeah, there's 4. That's why the new Duramax came. So he's got a spot for each kid, and him and the wife.
Yeah, he had to get the 60-40 split front seat for all the Rugrats in there. So we'll have them guys back on because those are our buddies, and good young smart farmers. And Ken Sars was a wonderful one. He's the last one that we had. Ken will be back. Ken's a wealth of knowledge that I didn't know Ken had such education behind his experience. Was pretty impressive with that one. I listened to that one the very first day it come out and talked to Ken later on, and that was awesome. I can't wait to talk to Ken again.
And we've had a lot of fun with everybody we've had on. Everybody we've had on so far, like Dallas said, we're going to have them all on again and again and again. As long as we keep doing this, a lot of our guests we'll have on again. And
well, I don't want to forget, we had Tony Fast, Tanner Malang, and Dylan Tellier. I mean, and I've got a lot of people have reached out to me through social media and stuff that were really impressed with Dylan. I mean, the young man has fought through alcoholism and dealt with that and on the family farm and kept his nose to the grindstone. So I've had a lot of comments on Dylan and a big thanks for Dylan and Tony and Tanner and all those guys coming on here and being part of the old Budding Hug Farmers community here. So, eventually I won't be able to rattle off all their names because hopefully we'll have interviewed or had guests on so many people I can't remember them all.
That's what we're aiming for. Up from here. That's the only way we're going to go is up.
And we have come a long ways up. The first few episodes, the audio wasn't good. There was a whole lot of breathing noises and clicking of pens and opening of cans, all sorts of fun stuff like that. But, we've got them better and we're just going to keep getting them better. So if you got people you want to have on, throw a message on this video or run through Tyler and I's social media channels. Shoot us a message of people you want on. I had a real nice young guy. What is it? Zach? It's on my phone. Zach something or other. He flies aerial drones and they've been doing some seeding and they think they already seeded oats and wheat with them. So we'll get Zach on for an episode here someday. He's a young, smart farmer from Valley View, Alberta. So he's going to be on. So
we got a tractor hacker that we plan on getting on. We're not going to say his name just for legality things, but he's going to come on. He's going to be the tractor hacker guy. He's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to hacking into tractors and dealing with emission systems.
You have to give him a strange new voice.
We'll have to get some voice editing software for him.
Well, that tractor hacking is a multi-billion-dollar industry in North America. I mean, they put all them goofy pollutant reduction things on a vehicle that completely kills emissions or kills efficiency. So, I mean, there's a multi-billion-dollar industry removing all that stuff and reprogramming it to make it run better. Maybe it's not quite as environmentally friendly, but if it's burning half the fuel, making twice the power, I think that's making it run better and maybe being better for the environment.
I'm no scientist, but I'd have to agree with you on that one.
But we should get back to farm talk here. Enough about talking about the podcast. Any new irons show up or going to show up this spring?
Well, we don't grow any pulses or anything, but we invested in a 53-foot land roller, Degelman. So we started rolling with it and whatnot, and we thought, well, this is working really well. And the dealer that we were dealing with, they came up with a hell of a deal. Like, we kind of hinted, well, if this works, maybe in the fall we'll upgrade to a 80-footer. Just we're testing the waters. We don't want to jump in at over $100,000 and not end up liking it. I'm sure we get our money back out, but you kind of got to take them baby steps. We got going, and then we got shut down from the rain, and he came along and said, well, I got an 80-footer here. It's got about as many acres as you've put on that 53-footer. I can swing a hell of a deal for you because I got a home for this one. And we bit the bullet and took the plunge and went to an 80, I think it's an 83-footer, an 80-footer. I've walked up to it once, and I haven't seen it since. Dad was the one that ran it, and I was on trucking duty keeping the drills fed most of the spring. So, but it worked great. It worked flawlessly. I actually like it a lot better. It's a lot better design than the 53-footer, in my opinion. And again, that's just my opinion. But yeah, we rolled all our barley and our wheat, and Dad was talking to a few other guys. We kind of missed the mark, but he even rolls his canola. So maybe next year we'll try rolling some canola. But I'm a little lenient on that one, just being that we kind of got 5810 drills or Borgo air drills, so we don't really have a way to control our packing pressure. So maybe that's something we try down the road when we eventually upgrade to a parallel link drill. But I don't know. So far, we're really happy with it. It's really nice seeing that field after it's been rolled, and it's
Yep. We've rolled canola in the past, but I think the trick to canola, if you're rolling it, is you got to be about within a day of planting. You get past that, then it seems like the tractor tracks get way more visible. But if you're within that day of planting on canola and you're going to roll it, you won't even know it was out there except for just a nice flat field. But we try to roll almost everything, but this year we didn't get the winter wheat rolled. There's a couple thousand acres of durum that right off the bat we didn't get rolled, and the last 1,500 of mustard, just because it was coming out of the ground and the rollers were still on the other side of the farm. So I'm pretty fortunate that Mandanko has been a super good friend of the farm or partner with the farm here on their rollers. I prototyped their first 7-plex roller, I guess 4 years ago. And so that's the one we own, is that 88-foot 7-plex. And then last summer, they would come up to me and they said, we don't have a home for the 112 one they had an Ag in Motion. Do you want to put some acres on that for us? And that's a big roller. But, when you have a really good company like Mandanko ask you to do a favor like that, you smile and you nod and you go, oh, that's a big roller. But we've put on 6,000 or 7,000 acres on that 112-foot roller. And besides being too big for the world's most famous 9280, that roller is like 63,000 pounds, and that tractor is like 40-some thousand pounds. So the roller really outweighs the tractor. You got to be really careful with it. But at the end here, we switched around. We put the T9 700 Smart Track, 4-track on there. And that's what it takes to run that roller. A big, heavy tractor. And Tommy's rolled, he'll be at 1,500 acres with that T9 on there. And he said, you need a lot of speed before that roller wants to push that tractor around. So that's turned out really good for us. So I got a big thank you to Mandanko and how good they've been to us over here. If they happen to forget that 112-foot land roller, I'm sure it'll be in lots of videos next year again.
How fast do you pull your rollers up?
Usually we stay right at that. In the 9280, it's just there's a hard shift between 6th and 7th. So we stay right in that 6-gear, 1900 RPM, so like 5.3, 5.4. On the 88-foot, that's a nice speed. And then when we're pulling the 112, a little bit slower than that, because that 112 is so wide, it actually, it'll start to, one roller will roll ahead, the right will go ahead, then left, it'll start to walk a little bit, and it gets pretty wiggly on the tractor. So hair under 5 with that one, just because it wants to move the tractor. But Tommy said with the T9, he just leaves her right at 6 mile an hour all day long. I think that's about 103 acres an hour at 6 mile an hour. So it is clobbering the acres.
That's a lot of acres because you're not stopping. You're just continuously going. Do you do your headlands first or do you do them last?
I like doing them last, but some of the guys, they like doing them first just because they know exactly where they have to turn. So they'll do the the outside one first, do the field, and then the inside one they'll do last, just because they kind of know their boundaries. For me, I guess I've turned the sprayer a million times, and the roller's about the same width as a sprayer, so I just kind of visually know. I can't really describe it, but I know when I want to turn. So I usually do mine last, but I don't get lucky enough to run the roller the way I want to because I end up having to do a lot of spraying and fueling and fixing and loading trucks. And but then our roller man has been on the ball this year. And on the old roller on the 88 foot, we have a basket on the hitch. And I've seen the back of the pickup truck when he comes home and he's got a rate full of boulders. So he's picked a lot of rocks by hand, thrown them in the basket, got to the end of the day, thrown them all in the truck. And so got a big thank to Luke. Yeah, they're worth the money. I mean, Pat, and we've went back and tried to get down and get them. And without rolled land on a hailed out Durham crop, boy, you're beating up your combines. And then we had in 2016, we had 1 foot of snow twice. Well, that crop was a 70 bush that was 4 inches tall, and it wasn't rolled. Oh my Lord, we destroyed combines on the ground, scraping off the ground, lifters, aggressive. And that's when we decided we got to start rolling this stuff. Between hail or lodged or, and then in 21, it was all rolled. We had massive drought. Well, the crop was only 12 inches tall anyways, but we put the headers down low on the ground. We combined 8,000 acres of single digit crop, and we didn't even break the knife section. We broke the bolt in the back of the knife section. The knife section was still there, it was just kicked over sideways. And that's all we did for header damage. So when it's rolled, that's what we're trying to save, is header damage, combine damage. So that was the whole point of having all these big rollers.
Before we bought a roller, we talked off and on with a bunch of neighbors in our area that roll everything just because, I don't know, they just chose to roll stuff. And the one neighbor, he worked it out. He's an accountant by trade, farmer. Well, he's a full-time farmer now, but he went to school to become an accountant. And he figured out that with rolling his ground, he's saving $5 an acre. That's a huge savings versus what would it cost? $1 an acre to run that roller?
That's probably a little more than that with tractors and fuels and man and wages and stuff. But yeah, call it 2 or 3, but it's worth it. And that's 5 probably on the conservative end. You might save 10, 15, 20, $100 an acre if you pick up a stone and destroy a set of rotors in a combine. And we had a 77 foot right way. Yeah, 1 stone, yeah. And we sold the right way, and it went up north to a guy, and they rolled their barley right when it was, like in shot blade or tillering. And they said it just set it back enough. It actually come back stronger and better and healthier. So I think that was kind of impressive. He's actually messaged me wanting to try the 88 foot because they've pretty well wore the 77 right out.
I never knew you could roll or wear a roller out.
Well, I think on a right way, I think it's pretty easy to do. But
moving on.
I apologize on that one. But I mean, there's hinge points, welding points, bearings. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of stress. I'm sure your Dagelman and my Mandanko in time, the welders will find them. I mean, it's just, I think with enough acres in time, they'll find the weak spots.
I've been told that speed kills them. If you get up around that 9-10 mile an hour, you can mess one up in a hurry.
Well, that's got to be a hell of a bang when you nail a deadhead at 9 mile an hour. Holy, because I mean, I can feel it now. You go over one and you can feel the tractor jump sideways and jump up a little bit. That roller hits so hard. And some of the rollers are, some of them are only 1/2 inch drum. Our 88 is 3/4. The 112 is 5/8. I've seen the lighter drums have dents in them, and man, you got to really clobber a rock or something to dent a 3/4 inch drum roller.
Yeah, when we had the 53 footer, I ran it for a couple hours one afternoon. I was amazed. I was surprised. I shouldn't have been, but how noisy it actually is to run one. Like, it sounds like a popcorn going off behind you.
Oh yeah, dunk, 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 dink, dink. Oh yeah, and you just know every time it makes that sound, you're making a rock not go in the stone trap. That's the way I think of that. It's just that will never be in that for this year won't be in the stone trap.
So when you're loading your drills, do you use semis or do you use tandem trucks?
No, we have 3 2-hopper triaxle grain trailers, Wilson trailers. But what we're short, and Tommy, my main guy, been after me all winter and again all spring. We got to put remote openers on there. Too many guys have remote openers, and he's seen too many videos of guys like Tony Fast and them seating with remote openers and knowing how wonderful they are. So I don't know if we'll get them on before fall, but we'll definitely get them on before spring seeding. I'm going to put, I think the Michaels are probably a really good one. Put them on the trailers. And if somebody at Michaels wants to set up a TikTok podcaster out here with a sweet deal on 3 sets of remote openers, it's Everyone Knows Dallas on TikTok is the best way to get a hold of me.
And I'm at Tyler Jane, and I actually have 3 trailers with Michael's openers, but I got 2 trailers that still need the tarp opener yet. So hit me up.
We're looking for sponsorship. Besides the wonderful partner that we've had so far, the old Cowboy Caviar, I'm pretty well out of my stash. I've got 1 package left, and now I'm just in conservation mode. Either I eat it and go find a co-op and go buy some more, or yeah, because I've really enjoyed Cowboy Caviar. Come on here and sent Tyler a wonderful care package to get us through spring seeding. So
no, it was awesome. Thank you, Cowboy Caviar.
Yeah, and I've got so many buddies have taken pictures after they've bought a thing. I don't know if they're making fun of me or just showing their appreciation to our sponsor. I've got a pile of pictures of guys that have left the gas station or wherever they've bought it at. I mean, they don't just sell it at just gas stations, but wherever they've got it from, and they'll send me a picture and they're like, I can't believe how good this stuff is. I'm like, Tyler and I wouldn't enjoy so much if it wasn't that good. Like, I mean, not only have they been really good to us here on the podcast, it's an excellent product. I mean, just been wonderful. I've gotten pictures and texts and stuff like that, and they're trying this and, asked if I've had this. And that I thought that was pretty cool. That means their little bit of promotion work with us is hopefully turned into more sales for them.
Absolutely. If they want to be the official sponsor of the Bunny Hug Farmers podcast and put our little logo on their stand in the store, we'll talk about them every day, every podcast.
That would be pretty wild. If you walked into the co-op or whatever, I'm just using the co-op because I know they're most co-ops gas stations sell them. If we had our decal on the top and the official sponsor of the Bunny Hug Farmers podcast, oh, holy man.
They could pay me in beef jerky. I'd be fine with it.
Yeah, I'm good with that. My guys and I have enjoyed, and my family have enjoyed that product all spring long. Another care package would be nice.
Pretty please.
Pretty please. I'm down to just one of them mega sticks. Those are so good.
I haven't had those in mine yet. I've been saving those for a special occasion.
Yeah, the mega sticks. I just can't quite gnaw through a mega stick. I just cut it up into like little pepperoni slices, and I can kind of stretch them out a little longer that way. But I think I'm down to 1 mega stick left. And it's like, yeah. Because I'm thinking someday I'm going to be gone away from the farm and be gone for 20 hours. And that's the day I'm taking my mega stick with me.
Lunch. But speaking of that, farming can be difficult. And it can be stressful at times. And there's help out there. It's called the Farm Stress Line. Their number is 1-800-667-4442.
Yeah, and Tyler and I have been pretty honored to talk to some of the people. Actually, one of the guys, the chair for the mental wellness for Saskatchewan farmers and ranchers, is a friend of ours now. We've met him a few times, and that's a wonderful program. There's so much stuff available. I mean, we've got these really cool magnets that I hope every RM in the province eventually will be able to give these out. I mean, these magnets got the health line, which is 811, the kids' help phone, which is 1-800-668-6868. That's one I haven't rattled off before. There is a wealth of knowledge on these refrigerator magnets that if you're at a farm show, they're going to be there. They're giving out these magnets. Throw them on the fridge. There's numbers on here. There's numbers for everything, right from, mobile crisis, suicide helpline, farm stress line. There's counseling available. If you qualify for it, I think it's 6 hours of one-on-one counseling because farming is stressful. We work some tremendously hard, long hours. And farmers and ranchers, we have this big stereotype that we can't talk about our feelings and emotions. And that's got to change. Because, I mean, if you can't deal with, if I need a hand moving a tire around, well, I don't blow up my back. I get help moving a tire. Well, if I can't handle some of the pressures of dealing on a farm, whether you're the owner or just an operator on it, I mean, there's so many stresses on here that we have to be able to talk to somebody. And there's an operator at the other end. You don't have to give your name. I don't think they give their name. They're just there to help us talk us through us. Because, farming is utterly important, for everybody. But you have to be able to work through this and talk through this. And you have to get past the stereotype that you're big and you're tough and you don't share your feelings. Because, we have to get past that because I know buddies that have called this number, you know, and it could be a lifesaver.
And you don't even have to phone these people. If you're having a bad day, phone your neighbor, phone your friend. When I'm having a bad day, a lot of the times I'll phone Dallas, rattle on about how my old man ticked me off. He'll rattle on about how I ticked him off about rattling off that I'm ticked off at my old man. But no, don't be afraid to reach out for help. But there is professional help out there if you need it.
And if you see somebody struggling, take a little time out of your day, give them a call, see how they're doing. Because, I mean, maybe not just, it's not just about calling these numbers. It's about looking out for your neighbors too. I mean, that's just as simple as stopping by and having a coffee and just asking, how are things going? That could just change somebody's entire day to know that somebody else stops by and cares.
We're all in this together. Let's help one another. Let's make this a healthy environment for everybody. Because farming, it's not the most healthy environment a person can live or work in.
Well spoken, Mr. Janin. So
Okay.
you were talking earlier on, to get back to the farming here, you guys got a pretty sweet service truck. I mean, ours is a 25-year-old Chevy one-ton. Great truck. I mean, really good to us, but looking at upgrading to probably a fuel trailer to go behind it. But you guys got, something pretty awesome set up there, right?
Yeah, we got a fairly hefty service truck. It's just a single axle, but it's on a M2 Freightliner with it's got air brakes on it and whatnot. We can carry roughly 800 gallons of diesel fuel on it, 800 liters of DEF, and then it's fully tooled as well. It's got a welder generator on it. We carry all our oils on it. We carry enough oil. We can do an oil change on one of the smaller pieces of equipment, but
We
it's
carry enough hydraulic oil that we can usually do them unplanned hydraulic oil changes pretty easily. Because I asked our local co-op, like, what do they sell the most of? And they're like, hands down, everything in here, we sell more hydraulic oil than anything else combined. Everything else combined. Because tractors just like changing their own hydraulic oil.
they like that 3-inch line. They like to blow that. You've had
Oh,
that.
yeah.
You've had it too.
Well, our T9 is a wonderful tractor. It pulls like the Dickens, especially with them new turbos on it. But man, they got a cluster F of hoses underneath there. And no matter how much we've went underneath that with outback wrap and all sorts of rubber tie and whatever to keep things from rubbing together, they constantly keep finding some new way to rub a hose through a hose. And boom, you're doing an unplanned oil change of the hydraulic oil in the field again. And, it's just, that's a shake my head that it's a great tractor, pulls like the Dickens, good power, phenomenal power, great grip. Man, their hose design is just something to be desired.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. Fortunately, we haven't had that much issue on our Case Steigers. They're the same thing as your T9. They're built in the same factory. I've never been to Fargo to the plant. I want to go one day, but Dad's been there multiple times, and he says, you'll be standing there. It'll be red tractor, blue, blue, red, blue, red.
But in case anybody at the old C&H warehouse or factory in Fargo wants to take Tyler and I for a tour, we're also available to travel abroad, to go tour some factories.
I got a passport. I can travel anywhere. I'm good.
I got one step above that. I got a passport and a waiver.
There you go.
But we did actually, looking back here on some of my notes here, we did have some downtime. We actually, and I mentioned it a little earlier, we lost both turbos in that T9 700. We lost an intercooler. It's a phenomenal motor, making a pile of power out of a little 12.9 liter motor, but it goes turbocharger, intercooler, turbocharger, and it's water cooled intercoolers. So what happened is that the first intercooler, which is water cooled intercooler, sprung a leak, and then it then puts boost into the coolant, and then it gets below 15 pounds. It puts coolant into the boost, basically into the air. So no major internal damage, but the second turbo was shot. The first intercooler was shot, and then since we had it all apart, they checked over, and we're just on the edge of the tolerance level on the first turbo, because they're compound turbos, on the first turbo on the free play side, and they're like, it's already all apart. Your bill's going to be massive. Let's just make it a little bigger. We slapped on 2 new turbos and 1 new intercooler and new manifold gaskets, and well, it was whatever it was, $3,000 later, we're back seating in about. And I have to give my local New Holland dealer Barasas there. They had us going, I think, just a hair over 2 days, and we were back going. So I really got to tip my hat to them. They come out, and we ran for parts, and they pulled of course, this has to happen on a Friday evening. And I'm pretty sure we were going, I think the tractor was back Sunday sometime. So super happy with that.
Yeah, you can't complain about that when you got a dealer that looks after you. We got a couple dealers around us that are really good and look after us phenomenally as well. So I tip my hat to all our local Case, New Holland, John Deere, all the dealers out there that look after their customers.
And that's the big thing. We had a cat combine or claws combine, which are great combines. I watch Matt James work on theirs all the time. But when we got rid of ours at that time, that was before Canada West got into the business. Kramer Finning had gotten out of combines. There was no dealer support. And you cannot run a piece of machinery without dealer support. And that's so when you get good dealer support, whatever color it is, if they're local and close and right nearby, that's some of your best piece of machinery is the one that you can fix the easiest. And that's why people said, oh, I made a video the other day explaining of what I want for my fantasy air drill. And some guys, I must have followers over in Australia, which are wonderful. Thanks, guys. Recommended some, air drills made over there, and they might actually fit the bill. But if there's no dealer support over here, it'd be hard to import an air drill from Australia they use in southern Saskatchewan. Any minor thing, special bearings, discs, openers, yeah, I'd be in trouble. So the best dealer is the one that's the closest, that has the best stock and the best parts.
Yeah, one thing that really ticks me off about the dealers is when you go in for a part and it's always, oh, we can have it here tomorrow. I don't need it tomorrow. I need it yesterday most times.
Yeah.
So.
Or our sister store 30 miles down the road has 9 of them, but you don't have any? Why don't you have 4 and they have 5? But no, the one down the road has 9 of them. Or I had here a little while ago, I was changing some sprayer tips up on the one sprayer. I was trying to mix and match, get right. And I ended up getting the wrong, the tip goes in and the cap attaches to the body. Well, I had the wrong caps. They fit differently. So brought them back, picked up the new ones. Well, the caps look almost identical, but they're about 80 cents a piece difference, or I think they're $2 a piece difference. I was like, I already made 2 trips, and now I got to pay $2 difference on these damn things? Like, that one they probably should eat. They sent me home with the wrong stuff to begin with.
No, I hear you. There's nothing more frustrating than having to make that trip, getting the wrong parts, you go back, get a half-ass apology, and then they hit you full bore on the other parts that are the correct parts. And I'm not calling any dealers out in particular or anything by that means. So if my local dealers are listening, I'm not calling you out.
No, and it's tough. I mean, some of these dealers, like, they used to be 3 lines of machinery, 4 lines of machinery. I'm pretty sure the one dealer in Assiniboia has over 100 different lines between chainsaws and lawnmowers and snowmobiles and all that stuff. I mean, holy, the parts bin, you're into 17 different websites and computer catalogs. And yeah, I don't envy a parts person, especially during spring seeding and harvest. Boy.
They're punching bags, I'd have to presume.
Oh yeah,
or a service writer. Or a service manager. My cousin was a service manager for Mazer Group for a few years, and he's home farming with me now. But he said you get some guys that they've had an engine blow up in a brand new tractor, and they're just like, get here when you get here. And then I'll have one guy that's got a tractor with 4,000 hours on it, doesn't look after his stuff, call him and lose his mind on him, and it's his fault, and it's this, and he's just. I'm just the guy you call and I arrange a mechanic to come out. Why are you yelling at me?
Yeah, that's and things break down I think they break down because it's Friday at 4:30. But back to your service truck. I think we really derailed that conversation again.
Well, that's how we go here, right? We just go with the flow.
You do hold quite a bit of fuel in def on that one, don't you?
Yeah, about 800 gallons of diesel and about 800 gallons of liters of def. So.
You're one of them hybrid guys. You're half metric and half standard.
Unfortunately, I am a millennial, so.
Oh, yeah. And I'm a Gen Zer. But that's one thing, like our old service truck, it's a 2000 Chevy 1-ton. It's a gas burner with a 454 or 7.4 Vortex. Boy, it's got the 11-foot body on duals. It's not quite a mobile shop, but you get looking around there, there's probably enough stuff to get you taken apart and figure out what you need for parts on there. Between jacks and snap ring pliers. And nowadays, when I buy tools for the shop, I usually buy a second one for the service truck. So it's gotten full, but especially with us being, Dad showed me how to weld when I was a teenager, and we didn't always run newer machinery, and even now we still don't run new machinery. We got to do welding in the field sometimes. So I don't know what I would do without that old welder. I'd be angry or broke.
We got a big welder on ours as well, and it's actually how we run our fuel pump. So we run one of the big fuel pumps like they use in the card lock. So the reason we did that when we were first building the truck, we looked at running a giant one that was 12 volt. Well, when we were going to go that route, we needed to put dual alternators in the truck, and we had to put 8 batteries. And at that time, this was like pre-COVID. If I remember right, we built this truck in 2014. So this pump was like 12 grand at that time, and they only built them as you ordered them. So we thought, wow, that's not a very good idea. And well, we don't want to run a PTO pump because they're noisy, and then you got to have the truck screaming away. So the guy that was building it, he suggested, well, why don't you go to one of them card lock pumps? They're over 100 gallons per minute. You're going to put a welder generator on the back. It's just 110, and they're at that time they're like $3,000, and you can have one overnight from Winnipeg just about. So we went that route, and it's honestly, knock on wood, it's never skipped a beat. So that's the route we went.
I looked at a fuel trailer today, and we haven't made the decision yet in the farm to buy one, so I'm not going to divulge too much information on that. But it was a gas air compressor, but then that pump was ran by compressed air, and I think it was 40 gallons to the nozzle, and you will lose about 5 gallons in the shutoff nozzle, so it's like 35 gallons a minute. So that was, I looked over that trailer today. That was highly impressive. That was a incredibly well built fuel trailer. It's a big purchase for the farm to look at the.
Was it steel construction or aluminum?
Yeah. Yep. Oh, steel, and the front of the fenders, and on the frame, and the very front nose was all stainless, just for rock damage. So they're going to get rock damage, but that one there, even where it was painted stainless, it's not going to rust. Like they said, these trailers hold out very well. And I had a good look at it today, and it was super nice trailer, very well built, 100 gallons of def and 980 gallons of diesel on there. It was, and lights, and oh yeah, impressive toolboxes and drawers, and a family operation. And every time they build a trailer, they try to build it better than the last one. So super impressed by that.
Yeah, and they were once a Canadian company, you were telling me earlier, were they not?
Yeah, they moved into the States for, a little easier in the manufacturing and assembly sides. But let's hope next podcast I've made a deal and I can talk about this fancy new trailer that we're going to have
next time on the Bunny Hug Farmers podcast.
Yeah, the reveal of what could or could not be a new fuel trailer for the farm.
Well, that's one of those things too, and some guys don't do it. You got to keep advancing on your farms too. You got to buy a little bit every now and then. You just can't, or I guess you can do whatever you want. I was raised to believe that you always got to be rotating a little bit of newer stuff into your line, or adding stuff if you want to stay aggressive in farming. Like, you don't want to be left behind.
Well, that's it. And our old service truck it's a 2020. I mean, a 2000. That old Vortex gives out on us. We can't haul fuel to the drills or the combines. And with only 1,100 liters of fuel capacity, we are really on the short side of fuel for them two big tractors. We end up having a few times there, somebody's got to run out, grab the service truck, fuel it up in the middle of the day for the guys so they can finish the day off. So that's something. I mean, if that old service truck quits, I mean, we can still haul fuel to the truck, and it can still have tools on there if we have the fuel trailer. So that's kind of the plan, I'm thinking.
That's kind of where we were at when we built our service truck. We were using an old Chevy 3/4 ton with 2 skid tanks in the back, and we'd go out to start servicing the combines. Well, the 2 skid tanks would only hold enough for a tank and a half. Well, that truck had all the tools in it, all the grease guns. Well, when somebody heads back to the yard for more fuel, well, he's left everybody behind. Well, now all the grease tubes are gone. Now all the tools are gone, so they're standing there picking their nose, scratching their asses. Well, we can't do anything till the service truck's back. So now we got this one. Everything's on site as soon as that truck rolls onto the field. We got air filters on board. It's got onboard air. It's got more tools than you should need for doing a morning service. So it's quite well. I don't think we'd be able to farm without it now that we've had it.
No, we got our very first service truck. It was a 59 Ford 1-ton that had, with a service body on it, that Dad bought years ago, and that we had that truck right till into the 2000s. I mean, it was old and clanky and bangy, but had a 350 carbureted 350, did about 45 miles to the gallon, but we had her for years. It's actually still in the back corner. It's on that list I want to take to the shop someday, pull the service body off, put a flat deck on, give her a paint job, and kind of have as a parade truck in a way because it's just a cool old body line, the old 59 Ford. But we couldn't operate this farm at this level without what we have. I mean, and even what we have isn't that great. I mean, it has been great, but I mean, when we got that service truck 11 years ago, it was 14 years old or 13 years old or whatever it was. And now it's 25 years old and it's just, it might be time to just let that one make a few less trips back and forth to the farm. And I know you said you're sitting pretty good over there for moisture. You're a couple weeks since the last rain. How far do you think you can make it before you get the next one?
Well, we had a little bit of scattered showers here today, but it was more enough just to aggravate you. They were calling for some this week, but they pushed it off for another week. So here, probably the week before this podcast actually comes out, that we should be having a rain, and we're hoping for it. It definitely will help. We've just seen what you've gone through out there with your drought that you've been in for many years now, Dallas. I've learned to just accept a rain when it comes because I don't know, it might be a while before I see the next one.
Well, that's it. I mean, and like I said, we had some poor emergence on some stuff, and we did get that couple of shots of rain. We got 5/10 the one time and 7 or 8 the next time. But yeah, so everything's up pretty well and growing. I got that 2-stagey crop. I mean, I guess there's a reason that there's a swather hidden in the back of that Quonset because I might have to fire that up this year. But like I said before, there's the new hay. There might be a cut out here. The old hay, the stands are turning brown already. So that's a terrible sign to see on June 3rd. A hay stand that's finished. So guys are out there. If you're making any extra bales, there's probably going to be somebody willing to buy them out here. But yeah, if we don't get a rain, I would say within the next 2 weeks, that first early crop is going to be basically on. It'll be set to be a tiny crop. We have some later durum in that's just 2 or 3 leaf now, looking really good. So it can hold on for 2 or 3 more weeks. The mustard's just out of the ground. Lentils are kind of a drought plant. They like a bit of stress. So, I mean, there's a long ways away before they're going to set their yields. So we'll just wait them out. But they're going to need some rain here pretty soon. I mean, this stuff is going to start rooting into nothing pretty soon, and then we're going to watch things go backwards. And like you said before, I've done this too many times and it's too hard to watch, but I guess we'll just have to watch it again.
So if anybody knows of any rain dances that actually work, hit up Dallas. He will video it, I can guarantee it. We do need to keep it PG.
Yeah, you don't want to watch me do a rain dance. Actually, speaking of, I follow him on Facebook. I went to we farmed the land on the Wood Mountain Lakota First Nation. We farmed the farmland there. And I was up there powwow last year. And I got a chance to meet him during the show. He kind of got me up in their dancing circle there. And his name is Terrence Littletent. And I follow him on Facebook, and he's actually, maybe he'd be a little out of our genre to have on the podcast here, but he is incredibly well spoken. He's a world champion hoop dancer and just an all around awesome guy. He'd be really out of our genres to talk agriculture with a hoop dancer, but I should hit him up to see if he could do that rain dance for me, because if he's got one in his back pocket, I want to see it. So at that note, folks, we're got her over a good hour here. We're hoping to get these guests lined up and keep these episodes rolling all summer, all the time. Tyler and I we're so honored and blessed to be able to talk to these wonderful men and women, throughout agriculture in the province. And we just can't wait to do more episodes for you, because it's just so much fun for us to share what we know and to hear what is out there throughout agriculture. So I'm looking forward to doing more episodes for you and for us and for everybody. It's just been awesome. So thanks everybody for giving us, the old Bunny Hug Farmers, a listen here. The merch will someday be on its way. That has been a very hard process. I struggled at that. So thanks everybody from me and Tyler, and you everybody have a good day.